Our main character, Jasmine, believes art is in her blood because her grandmother was an artist. Her mom, however, has a different future planned for her, as she does not understand why someone would want to become an artist. She feels all artists are doomed to suffer and does not want her daughter to follow that path. What a belief. Jasmine is at school and is supposed to be writing her mathematics test, but instead, she starts drawing on the question and answer sheet. She knows the test will change her life, and that change is heading toward the negative side. The time for the test ends, and her teacher, Mr. Carvalho, collects the sheet. Reality dawns on Jasmine as she has been drawing instead of solving the questions. On the other hand, Alice, who seems to be her nemesis, is done with the questions and is very confident she will do well. Mr. Carvalho is not ready to wait for anybody's excuse and demands they all submit the test. Seeing Jasmine's paper, Mr. Carvalho is confused. He asks if he should be worried about her, but she urges him not to be concerned. Stepping out with her friend, Nina, Jasmine starts explaining why she is worried about herself. Alice, on the other hand, is confidently telling the other students the answers to the test questions. Jasmine looks at the school's bulletin board and sees an artist training program, which interests her. However, Nina is worried about what Alice is saying and does not want her to triumph over Jasmine. Jasmine is a brilliant student and she is the one leading the school, but her issues with math are making it seem as if Alice will be the top student this year. Mr. Carvalho, however, comes out to burst Alice's bubble by saying one of her answers is wrong before leaving. Before Nina and Jasmine also decide to leave, Jasmine picks one of the flyers for the school art training. On the way home, Nina focuses on Jasmine getting herself together because she does not want Alice to be the valedictorian of their class. Talk about a friend of the year. After all, she hates Alice's choice of song for their prom. While discussing, Jasmine's gaze does not leave the flyer, proving she's more interested in what's in the flyer compared to the discussion with Nina. One's heart will always be with one's desire. While going, Nina sees a man, Greg, advertising his band, and she recognizes him. They both walk up to him, and they introduce themselves to him. She then asks his band to play at their graduation party. Seeing this, Greg introduces himself to them. And while he is trying to close the deal, Davy, his friend, walks up to him and taps him. Just then, a car passes roughly and it pushes Jasmine to Davy's side. They collide and their books fall to the ground. Davy helps Jasmine pick up the books and some of her artwork. Jasmine stares at him and sees that he is a handsome guy. Their hands also touch for a moment while they are picking up the drawings. Davy also sees how beautiful Jasmine is, and a smile spreads across his face. Jasmine hears the song on Davy's headphones and asks him about it. Davy misunderstands her, thinking she is asking about the song blaring from a van that is approaching, which is actually being driven by Jasmine's father. This gives her the impression that he might not be interested in her. She joins her dad on the bus and then leaves. Jasmine's family is into selling flowers, and they are good at what they do, as it also provides the necessary finances for the family. While selling the flower for the day, Jasmine's mom asks her about the test, and she makes up a little lie that the whole class seems to have failed it. What an excuse. The mom, however, does not agree with the excuse because she knows her daughter is brilliant and expects her to do well, because all she needs is to get 50% and she will be the best in the school. Jasmine replies that she does not want to be the valedictorian, and this makes her mom go ballistic. She tries to convince Jasmine that what we love is not what puts food on the table, but rather what actually can bring money. They then proceeded to the new building they got to set up their flower shop. Jasmine's mom starts explaining where things will be in all areas of the building and also points to a space that Jasmine will have for herself. A place where she can practice business after going to the college she registered for, if she does not get a job immediately. All Jasmine can do is appreciate her parents, even though she is not excited about this deep inside. Later, Jasmine is in her secret spot with Nina, where she draws and explains her dilemma of not knowing how to tell her mother she wants to get trained as an artist instead of going to college. In this secret place, she has a tree where she hangs all her drawings. While going to school the next day, Jasmine and Nina see Davy, and they decide to play cool with him. Seeing that they are heading in the same direction, they start talking. They get to know that Davy loves mathematics, unlike Jasmine, who detests it. When Jasmine gets to school, she sees her mom, Mr. Carvalho, and the principal. They explain that she will have to get a 100% mark on her next test, or else she will flunk. She argues that she should not fail because of mathematics, but Mr. Carvalho points out that she needs math. He then says he can spare time to mentor her, so that she will not fail. She wants to argue, but she has no other option but to accept this. On the way home, her mom scolds her for failing, and there is nothing she will say that will convince her otherwise while stating that she must study. Seeing her mom is not ready to listen, she walks away, telling her she will go and sell her art like her grandma. This renders her mom speechless. The next day, Jasmine is drawing in the library while waiting for her teacher for the extra class, but she sees Davi instead, and she tries to hide from him. However, it turns out that Davi is the one sent by Mr. Carvalho to tutor her. Who could have imagined? He sees her textbook turn upside down and instantly knows she is the one he needs to tutor. He introduces himself again to her and explains the plan for how he will help her, while returning the test paper with drawings to her. He compliments the drawings as the most beautiful test he has ever seen. Hearing that the schedule is every day, Jasmine protests, making Davi walk away, thinking it will not work as she is not ready to take the tutoring seriously. In the next scene, Davy and Greg are in the room. Greg is trying to prove that people hate mathematics and those who teach it, but he is barely listening as he is trying to solve a problem. Davy, however, feels that he needs the extra tutoring to make money since Greg is no longer making money through his band. Davi and Greg see Jasmine and Nina dancing with a group of students and arguing about what to use for their graduation party. When the girls are done, they start heading home. An argument sparks between Nina, Jasmine, Alice, and her friend. The argument is always about either Jasmine or Alice being the valedictorian. Unlike her friends, Jasmine is not concerned about it though. Back at home, instead of Jasmine studying in her room, she is drawing Davy. When she hears her dad's voice, she pretends as if she is studying. He comes into the room to get her dirty plate and also asks how the extra class is going, which she says is going fine. What a lie. He feels something is wrong and tells her she can always tell him the truth. Just as he is about to leave her room, Jasmine calls him back to ask if selling flowers has always been his dream. He then explains that he has always wanted to be a racer, but people always laugh at him. Regardless, he is happy with the life he has currently. However, knowing his daughter has the chance to do anything makes him support her. Back at school, Alice is telling other students that during their graduation, each student will be called according to their CGPA, which will let everyone know how they are doing. Jasmine is not comfortable with this and tries to contest it with her, but Alice ends up making a mockery of her because she knows she will not be the valedictorian due to her failure in mathematics. Jasmine defends herself, claiming that she is not in for the competition. This makes Alice happy because she has been preparing the speech as the valedictorian since her junior class, and she even shares some of the things she will say, which makes Nina angry. Jasmine is in her favorite spot with Nina, where she uses her as her model and paints. Nina is happy with the lovely drawing, and they both start talking about Davy's song, how Nina will be going to a fashion school in New York, and that they will miss one another. They are back in school and Mr. Carvalho starts writing a mathematics question on the board, waiting for someone to tell him the answer. Alice raises her hand, but Mr. Carvalho turns to Jasmine and asks her to answer. She says the wrong answer, and Alice says the right answer. This embarrassment pushes Jasmine to start looking for Davy after class. When she sees him, she asks him for his help, and he leaves all he is doing to start teaching her till evening. In the evening, when Jasmine starts seeing that she is yet to understand anything, she starts acting up. Then she starts talking about fine arts, which she is more interested in, and that the deadline for the course is coming soon. Davy understands her, as he has also been trying to solve a problem for months. He then agrees that she can use some time to draw, and that she will focus on math starting next week. Both focus on their own tasks, while peeking at one another once in a while. While Davy is scoring Jasmine's work, he sees some of her drawings in the book, which makes him smile. Then Greg comes telling him that he is in trouble. It turns out that he has damaged a drawing on the wall. This is definitely trouble, and coincidentally, the only solution is to get an artist to fix it. This then makes them call Jasmine the next day to find out if she can fix the drawing. Jasmine gets there only to discover that the painting is worse than she thought. However, she gets to work on it. Greg notices that Davy is romantically stealing glances at Jasmine, and he asks if he is in love, but he denies it. He cannot risk his scholarship, however, he compliments her beauty and talent. Greg understands the situation. He is in love, but will not confess it because of fear of jeopardizing his scholarship. When Jasmine is done with the drawing, Davy compliments it, and the two start smiling at one another. Well, love is sweet. Jasmine gets home with excitement and decides to do something to show it. She decides to dye sections of her hair in different colors. The next day, Jasmine records a voice note to Davy, saying they should have their class in a different place. They walk for almost an hour, before getting to where they are going. Just then, she takes off her clothes and enters the stream. She invites Davy in. He declines at first, but joins her eventually. They start talking in the stream, and Davi explains to her that he will teach her mathematics the way she will understand it while using physical things to give her examples. She also opens up to him that she wants to become an artist, but her parents already have her life planned out. He reveals that his parents also think he should become a doctor. This makes her think that all parents think alike after all. When they are done, they start working on mathematics, but Jasmine also takes a break to draw. He sees the drawing and compliments it. Then he asks to keep it, but she promises he will when she passes. When they are done, Davy sees her home. On the way, she keeps talking about the location they went to, which is more comfortable than the library. When they get to her place, Davy touches her cheek and tells her he needs to tell her something. She is anticipating his words, but unfortunately, he does not have the confidence to express his feelings yet. This breaks Jasmine's heart as she walks in angrily. Jasmine enters, and her mom sees her colored hair. She calls her back, wondering why she did it without telling her because she tells her everything. She suspects that Jasmine did it because there is a guy she is seeing, but Jasmine denies it. She compliments the hair eventually. Jasmine starts flaunting her colored hair the next day, and this attracts attention to her. She then tells Nina about what happened between her and Davy, but she makes her promise not to tell anyone. Nina, however, gives her a gum that will freshen her mouth just in case they kiss next time. She feels they will not, but Nina insists she takes it. Just then, Jasmine receives a voicemail from Davi telling her he will be suggesting a location for their next class. Davi then drives Jasmine on a scooter to the Fine Art Museum, where she wants to register to train as an artist. She is able to register even though she has already missed the deadline. All she has to do now is prepare a presentation, if she gets invited. They then head somewhere so Davy can start teaching her math. But just as the class is going on, the mutual tension between them starts building, and they both know it. Their discussion starts looking as if they are both talking about something else, and they cannot help but start kissing one another passionately. While Jasmine is going to deliver a flower alone, Nina comes by with excitement to tell her that her US visa is now approved. Jasmine also shares her good news of registering for the Fine Art Training Program, which makes both of them super excited. The only thing left now is for Jasmine to find a way to tell her mother. She does not want to tell her yet, but Nina encourages her that she will support her. This does not in any way make things better for her, but she decides to go with it. Getting to her mom's shop, Jasmine asks for a minute. Jasmine then tries to tell her mom about the school, but her response is more of shooting down the opinion rather than listening to it. Nina keeps pressing for Jasmine to open up, but when she eventually tries to, her mom starts analyzing why Jasmine will never go to the art program based on her mother's own experience. Her reason is so convincing, and Nina, who promised to support Jasmine all the way, ends up supporting her mom. Nina now understands what Jasmine is facing. The next day at school, Davi is with Mr. Carvalho, and he asks him to set the next test. Just then, the student starts entering the class, and Jasmine cannot take her eyes off Davi. Davi leaves, and the class continues. Fortunately this time, Jasmine is already able to answer the questions. After the class, Davy meets up with Jasmine and expresses his feelings to her. He wants to stop seeing her because his feelings are already starting to distract his studies. He is not allowed to be dating while studying as he might lose his scholarship. This makes Jasmine angry, and she decides that they should stay away from each other. Since that day, they stop seeing one another, and they are now working on their goals separately. Jasmine keeps drawing as well as working on math, while Davy is still trying to solve the problem. Davy ends up getting inspiration from Jasmine's drawing on the wall to solve it, which excites him. On the day of Jasmine's final math test, her dad brings her a flower from her mom to wish her the best. While he is leaving, Jasmine calls him back to tell him about the artist training program she registered for, and asks him not to tell her mom. He then explains to her that her mom is just afraid because of the hardship she went through due to her grandmother not being recognized. When it's time for the test, Mr. Carvalho shares the question. Jasmine picks it up and starts remembering how Davi taught her. This helps her to easily answer all the questions. Once she is done, Jasmine receives a voice note from Davy, asking her to let him know how the test went. Just as usual, Alice starts saying the answers to the other students after the class, but this time Jasmine interrupts her by saying the right answer to one of the questions. Alice looks surprised, wondering since when did her competition learn the math she so detests. Jasmine excuses herself from Nina to share the victory with someone else. Alice notices this and starts following her from afar. Jasmine rushes straight to meet Davy and tells her she has completed all the questions, including the challenging ones. Excited about the news, he happily hugs her. Unbeknownst to them, Alice sees them from afar and takes pictures of them. Alice then takes the picture to the school authorities, claiming Jasmine has information that other students do not have because of her closeness with Davy. This puts Mr. Carvalho on the spot. He tries to defend Davy, but the evidence Alice gives does not help him. Meanwhile, Jasmine is back home with Nina, and they are celebrating their success in the exam. She also gives Nina a canvas filled with the paintings she had made of her. Then, she receives a call from the art training program saying that she has been scheduled for an interview. She is so excited, and she also shares the news with Nina. While things are falling into place for Jasmine, the same can't be said for Davy. The next scene shows him being interviewed for having a relationship with Jasmine, as well as making her see the question for the test. He defends himself, but with the evidence, it is concluded that he allowed himself to be used by Jasmine. He defends her, but the narrative of her going from 0 to 100% makes him doubt things as well. The school also calls Jasmine's mom to inform her about what's happening. Meanwhile, Jasmine excitedly comes to tell her mom about the art program and how she's been invited for an interview. Unfortunately, her mom informs her about the accusations against her, and she strongly denies it. She has no option but to go to school the next day to defend herself. Coincidentally, this is also the day she is supposed to be interviewed for the art program. Of course, she has no option but to go to school because her mom will never allow her to go to the interview. Jasmine decides to go and see Davy. On getting to his house, Greg does not allow her to see him because of the current situation. Sadly, the school authorities have withdrawn the scholarship from Davy. When she notices Davy is home, she forces her way in to speak with him. She then realizes Davy is also doubting her for spying on the questions from him. This disappoints her and makes her sad even more because she is expecting the two of them to be defending each other. Jasmine then goes back home angrier than she was. She enters the house and starts shredding the canvas she has been preparing for the interview until her mother comes in to stop her. She then apologizes to her mom with tears, and she draws her close for a deep hug. The next day, Jasmine and her parents are with the principal and Mr. Carvalho. They plan to cancel her test, but she defends herself by saying that she did not spy on Davy. After going back and forth, she then suggests they ask her any question, and she will solve it. Her parents support her suggestion. The school does not want to accept her suggestion at first, but seeing she is standing determined, they have no option but to set the question for her. Mr. Carvalho then writes another question on the board and gives Jasmine the chalk to solve the question. She goes to the board and solves the question correctly, with everyone watching from behind. This then proves that she truly understands the question, and her 100% score is true. Although this is great news, she is sad that she will not be able to make the interview, and that there is nothing she can do about Davy, because he has decided to move away. Luckily, her dad tells her he will drive her to the interview. Now comes the question of what she will present. Nina gives her back the gift she created for her. Friends that come through in difficult times are always the best. Jasmine's father drives her to the interview, while her mom goes to her secret spot to see all the things she has done there. Jasmine barely arrives on time. They see she is good, but ask if she has anything special to present since they have several people with talent. She then hands over her beautiful drawings to them. Jasmine comes back home with her dad to share the good news of her getting into the art program. They meet her mom with her old drawings in the box. She then explains to Jasmine that the reason she has been acting up is because she is afraid due to past experiences, and not because Jasmine has disappointed her. Then she reveals that she is supporting her choice. Finally, a cause for celebration. On the day of their graduation, Alice walks up to Jasmine to apologize for being a snitch, and tells her she deserves to be the valedictorian. However, Jasmine tells her that they should mount the podium together since she already has a speech. This surprises her and Nina, but it makes them all happy. After the presentation, Mr. Carvalho comes to give the closing speech before the students go into a party mood. Greg's band comes to play. During the celebration, Davy appears and speaks with Jasmine. He explains the current situation and properly apologizes to Jasmine for not trusting her. Nina also joins Greg to sing on the stage. Davy and Jasmine end up making up and kissing one another passionately before Davy leaves for his journey. Months later, Davy comes to visit Jasmine as he has been transferred close to her. Jasmine is very excited to see him, and Davy feels the same, a beautiful love story for them.